In the vast, cold silence of space, there are rules. Unspoken laws that every species learns to survive. Rule number 1. Never challenge a star empire on their home turf. Rule number 2. Never trust a deal that seems too good to be true. But the third rule is the most important. A warning passed down from warlords who learned it the hard way. A lesson written in the ashes of their fallen fleets. Do not attack the humans. Not because they are the strongest or the fastest, but because they have a flaw in their design. A flaw that makes them the most terrifying predator in the universe. They will never let you flee. The city of Aethelgard, carved into the fossilized remains of a colossal, world-spanning forest on the planet Silva, was a place of breathtaking, silent beauty. Crystalline moss pulsed with a soft internal light, casting an ethereal green glow across walkways that spiraled around petrified tree trunks wider than ancient Terran cathedrals. Captain Fincroft navigated these high-altitude pathways, the air cool and tasting of ozone and damp earth. He was a freelancer, a polite term for a smuggler with a loose moral code, and his current mission was as mundane as it was risky. Retrieve a stolen data core containing sensitive mining surveys. The client was anonymous, the pay was exorbitant, and the ruling power on Silva, the Rhaxian Hegemony, was notoriously trigger-happy. Finn's ship, the Star Chaser, a heavily modified but aging freighter, was hidden in a hollowed-out, fossilized root system miles below. He just wanted to get the data, get paid, and warp out before the twin moons of Silva completed their nightly celestial dance. He moved through the Upper Canopy Market, a vibrant hub of trade where aliens from a dozen systems bartered under the glowing moss light. The native Sylvites, a slender, graceful species with bark-like skin and hair that resembled fine silvery lichen, moved with a quiet dignity, their large dark eyes holding a deep, ancient sorrow. They were a people of artists and gardeners, now living under the thumb of the Rhaxian Hegemony, a brutal, expansionist empire of insectoid warriors. The Rhaxians were everywhere, their bulky, chitinous armor a jarring, violent contrast to the organic elegance of the city. They patrolled the walkways with an air of arrogant ownership, their triple-jointed legs clicking ominously on the petrified wood. Finn kept his head down, his worn duster pulled tight. He had learned long ago in the brutal theater of the Alliance Cathar War that survival was a game of anonymity. You didn't pick sides, you didn't make friends, and you certainly didn't become a hero. Heroes ended up as names on a memorial wall, their causes forgotten by the next news cycle. He was just a ghost, passing through, his only allegiance to the next credit chip. This world's silent suffering was not his burden to bear. He just had to find his contact, a nervous-looking Ishan in a corner stall, and his part in this quiet tragedy would be over.
Finn spotted his contact, but before he could make his approach, a commotion erupted near the Grand Bow, the central hub of the market. Two Rhaxian enforcers, their carapaces a menacing shade of metallic blue, had cornered a young Sylvite woman. Her silvery lichen-like hair was disheveled, and she clutched a small woven satchel to her chest as if it contained her very soul. The bustling market, a river of diverse life forms just moments before, evaporated. The aliens, the merchants, the travelers, they all found urgent business elsewhere, their gazes averted, their movements quick and silent. They abandoned her to the monolithic authority of the hegemony, a collective act of self-preservation that felt like a physical blow. The lead enforcer grabbed her, his pincer-like hand easily encircling her slender arm. His voice clicked and hissed, a sound amplified by his helmet's external speakers. "Contraband! You are accused of trafficking in historical artifacts. The memories of this world belong to the hegemony now." He gestured to the satchel. "Surrender the data slate, and the Warlord may grant you a swift death." Finn felt a cold, familiar dread wash over him. This was it, the moment of choice. His mission, his ship, his freedom, they were just a few steps away in the opposite direction. But the Sylvite woman's eyes, wide with terror, but holding a core of unyielding defiance, snagged his soul. He saw another pair of eyes, a lifetime ago. A young Alliance medic, cornered by Klar warriors, looking at him with that same mixture of fear and hope just before the blast door had sealed between them. He had followed his orders that day. He had survived, and he had lived with the ghost of that choice ever since. "This ain't your fight, Croft." But the promise he had made to that medic's ghost, a silent, desperate vow to never again choose the easy path when a life was on the line, was a debt he still had to pay. With a resigned sigh that felt like it was pulled from the very depths of his being, Finn casually adjusted his duster, letting it fall open just enough to reveal the modified, heavy-duty blaster holstered at his side. He took a step forward, into the circle of fear, and the quiet rhythm of his life shattered into a million irreparable pieces. His simple mission was over.
The escape was a desperate vertical ballet through the petrified city. They swung on ancient glowing vines, slid down massive moss-slicked roots, and dodged the searing green plasma bolts of the Rhaxian pursuers. Finn's military training kicked in, his movements economical and precise, while Lyra, the Sylvite woman, moved with an innate graceful agility, seemingly knowing the city's secret pathways by heart. "You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, human," she yelled as they took cover behind a colossal fossilized leaf. Finn, reloading his blaster, offered a wry grin. "My ex-wife said the same thing. I'm starting to think there's a pattern." A plasma bolt exploded nearby, showering them with petrified splinters. One sharp, crystalline shard tore through the sleeve of Finn's duster, embedding itself deep in his forearm. He hissed in pain, but kept moving. They finally lost their pursuers in the deep, labyrinthine root systems near the city's pace, finding refuge in a hidden cavern lit by clusters of glowing fungi. It was there, in the quiet, pulsing light, that Lyra revealed the truth. The data slate in her satchel didn't contain mining surveys. It held the Rhaxian Hegemony's darkest secret. They were systematically harvesting the heartwood of the great petrified trees, a rare semi-sentient crystal that acted as the repository for the entire Sylvite race's ancestral memories. It was a cultural genocide,
the erasure of a people's soul, all to fuel the Rhaxians' advanced psionic weaponry. The stolen data slate held the proof. As she spoke, she noticed the blood seeping through Finn's sleeve. "You are hurt. Let me help." Before he could protest, she knelt and placed her slender, bark-like fingers on the wound. "This is the sap bonding, a sharing of life force. It connects us to the heartwood, to the memory of Silva itself. But it is an intimate bond. You will see my life, I will see yours." He simply nodded, too tired to argue. She closed her eyes, and a soft, green light emanated from her hands. A wave of sensation, warm and earthy, flooded Finn's mind. He saw her childhood, running through a living forest that was now stone. He felt her profound grief as the Rhaxians desecrated her world. In return, she felt the screaming chaos of his past battles, the crushing guilt of his survival, the deep, aching void of loneliness that he carried every day. The shard in his arm dissolved, his wound knitting closed with impossible speed, but a far deeper connection was forged. He now understood her fight, not just as a cause, but as his own. Their new bond gave them an edge. Lyra could sense the Rhaxian patrols through her connection to the petrified wood, and Finn used that information to devise a daring plan. Infiltrate the main Rhaxian command spire, the monolithic black tower that was a scar on Ethelgard's beauty, and broadcast the data slate's contents to the entire sector. They moved through the spire's cold, sterile corridors like ghosts, their linked minds allowing for a silent, perfect coordination that no military training could replicate. They reached the central command nexus, a vast chamber overlooking the entire city, its walls lined with humming databanks. As Lyra frantically worked to bypass the encryption on the broadcast terminal, a slow, deliberate clapping echoed from the chamber's entrance. Warlord Kalis, the supreme commander of the Rhaxian forces on Silva, stood there, flanked by his elite guard. He was a towering insectoid, his metallic blue carapace scarred and ornate, his multifaceted eyes glowing with a cold, intelligent light. The rogue human, and the little archivist. A commendable effort, truly. His guards raised their plasma rifles, their aim steady. The air crackled with energy. Kalis then did something unexpected. He looked directly at Finn. "Your species is known for its pragmatism, for its survival instinct. This fight is not yours. The Sylvite is already dead. She just doesn't know it yet. I am offering you a choice. Your ship is untouched. Walk away. Flee. Leave her to her fate, and you will live to fly another day." The offer hung in the air, a tempting poison. It was the easy way out, the choice he would have made yesterday without a second thought. But as he looked at Lyra, her face pale but resolute as she continued to work, he felt the sap bond, the shared pain, the shared hope. He thought of the medic he'd left behind. He would not make the same mistake twice. Finn laughed, a short, humorless bark. He raised his blaster. "You've been reading the wrong history books, Warlord." "Oh? And what is the correct lesson?" Finn's eyes hardened, his voice dropping to a low, deadly serious tone and filled with conviction. "The lesson is this: do not attack the humans. We don't forget. We don't forgive. And we will hunt you to the ends of the universe if we have to. We will never let you flee." Warlord Kalus let out a clicking hiss that might have been a laugh. "Brave words for a dead man." He gave the signal to fire. In that split second, as plasma boats screamed across the room, Finn didn't just fire back, he became a whirlwind of motion. His every action designed to buy Lyra one more precious second. He knew he couldn't win, but he could endure. As he took a searing hit to his shoulder, a defiant roar tearing from his throat, Lyra slammed her hand down on the console. "Now!" The data slate's contents, irrefutable proof of the Rhaxian genocide, blasted out across every frequency in the sector. But Lyra did more. Empowered by Finn's unwavering courage and their deep symbiotic bond, she reached through the spire, through the very foundations of the city, and touched the heartwood of her people. She didn't just draw on its energy, she unleashed it. A massive wave of pure green life force, the collective memory and sorrow of the Sylvite race, surged up through the spire. The Rhaxian technology, designed for death and destruction, couldn't handle the sheer overwhelming torrent of life. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, the spire shuddered, and the Rhaxian command structure was thrown into chaos. In the confusion, they fought their way to an emergency exit, escaping just as the first ships of the Terran Alliance, responding to the broadcast, began to rip through the clouds. The Rhaxian Hegemony, its darkest secret exposed, and its command center crippled, crumbled. The war for Silva was short, and the victory was absolute. Weeks later, in a reclaimed Aethelgard, Finn and Lyra stood before the central heartwood crystal. The Alliance had helped to restore it, and the city was already showing signs of new, living growth. Among a group of rescued Sylvite children was a small, quiet girl with large, dark eyes who had lost her parents in the conflict. She cautiously approached Lyra, then looked at Finn and took both of their hands. In that moment, a family was born not of blood, but of choice and shared sacrifice. Finn looked at Lyra, the sap bond between them, now a permanent, quiet hum of love and understanding. "I guess I'm not just passing through anymore." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining with the light of 1,000 reborn stars. Their story became a legend, a warning whispered in the courts of would-be tyrants across the galaxy, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a small, peaceful people, and the terrifying, relentless persistence of their new human friends.